Dead of the Night. I have never beaten this map. I've hardly ever even played this map in the first place. So I thought, alright, why don't we try and beat this map for the first time? It'll be fun. It'll be a nice new experience. Things will be groovy. So welcome to what is basically an idiot trying to beat Dead of the Night. And in my naive mind, I went into this thinking to myself, quick, in and out, 90-minute run, you know? Oh boy, was I wrong. 3 hours and 30 minutes of pure, unadulterated pain. So let's get into this. First things first, we need to activate the Sentinel artifact, and even I can't screw that up. I will also point out that yes, I was following a guide, thank you Mr. Ruffle Waffles, and with the artifact active, the next thing was to build the shield. I got 2 of the parts on round 2, as well as also finding one of the pieces for the silver bullets. I got the last part on round 3 and the shield was mine. Later that round, I also found my other pieces of silver and got those melted. From here, I went off to find the rest of the parts for the bullets. The thing with Dead of the Night that always put me off wanting to beat this is the fact that there isn't necessarily a bunch of steps, but each step in itself is stupidly lengthy. Also, the amount of fetch quests, like come on, there is so much running that even I was exhausted from just watching my character run endlessly. Also, whilst we're on the topic, can we please just have a map where Kiefer Sutherland plays every character? Genuinely think Gideon Jones might be my new favourite zombie protagonist. Anyway, with the shield and the silver, I was now on the hunt for poop and sulfur. Seriously, poop. Jesus Christ, guys. Round 4, I found the poop, and at the end of said round, when I was looking for the door that would get me to the lab, I came across the box. I didn't have the points for the door, but I did have Immolation Elixir, so I used it, and would you believe it? First spin of the box, and I only went and got myself the Alistair's Folly. When your luck is in, and all that, am I right? Round 5, I got my points together and collected the sulfur. From here, I went and crafted the silver bullets. I also grabbed my first upgrade for the Folly, and I picked up the Swordfish, the underrated banger that it is. We were in a pretty good spot, and next up was probably the main first step for the Easter egg, the crystals. I spent 5 minutes running around knifing vases until I found all 3 crystals. The first one that I activated was the Ghost. This was pretty easy as all I had to do was walk to a statue. The next crystal, not so much. It was the Clock Lockdown, and I ended up taking it down. I just panicked and completely forgot I had a special weapon that would have saved me, but it is what it is. The final crystal challenge was to basically just kill a bunch of vampires, which was easy enough. With all 3 tuning forks, Pack-a-Punch was available. I headed down and got the area open. It was also now I remembered I had to fight a werewolf as the fairy chased me down. The Swordfish, however, is a champion and took him down with relative ease. We grabbed the Prima Materia and head back to the lab where I get my first upgrade for the Foley, and now we have the Chaos Theory. Things were looking very good. It was round 8 and we were making great progress. But then came the alignment step. Here I had to align 3 lights above a stupid statue, and on paper, easy enough, right? Turn a couple of dials, make a few lights get all bright, chop off a head, easy peasy. Just no. This step was anything but easy. I started it on round 9 and I ended it on round 12. I followed several different guides for this one step. I turned many dials and broke so many shields, and it just would not work. Until eventually, out of nowhere, I somehow figured it out, and all that stress the last 3 rounds had produced was gone. I had done it. I then remembered I still had the rest of the Easter egg to beat, and the pain was back. The next step, which is probably the most annoying and complex step of the entire Easter egg, as it requires way too much knowledge, and it's the Zodiac step. Basically, I have to find 3 Zodiac signs around the map, as well as a bunch of vampire scratches in the same area as the sign. What we do next is add up all of the scratches and pair it with the sign. It sounds easy, but when all of the items you are looking for are markings on walls, tables, bathtubs, it does get a bit tricky as stuff just hides in the dumbest places. Long story short, after about 10 minutes of running around the map and trying to do maths, I found my signs and had all of my scratches added up. The next part of this step was to input the Zodiac signs that I'd found in a specific order at the telescope. This is where the step gets stressful, and several different guides all had different solutions for this step. Some said to input the signs from highest amount of scratches to lowest, or vice versa. Some even said to do it in chronological order of the real dates the signs correlate to. So I was kind of screwed, and I didn't really want to repeat the finding part, because if I got the code wrong, I gotta go find all that stuff again. So I did what any smart human would do, I guessed. I inputted the signs based off of lowest scratches to highest, and lo and behold, it actually worked. I only went and did it first time, and with that done, we got the telescope active and locked into place. Next, I turned my attention to getting the final upgrade for the Folly. I needed 3 things. First, I needed a zombie to dig up a mound of mushrooms, and yes, I'm being serious. This step was a bit fidgety, but after a few attempts, I had my parts. The next step was to kill a whole bunch of vampires, collect their bile, and then release a super juiced vampire. The collecting of bile took me way longer than it should have. I got the juiced vampire spawned, and he went down super easily, like didn't even put up a fight, so thanks, I guess. The final step was to just shoot a few lanterns. This was honestly just really easy, and I did it with very little effort. I took all of my parts to the lab, and soon I had Alistair's Annihilator. The next step was another easy one, but also another long one. First, I had to shoot some tree branches, 5 to be exact. With that done, I headed over to where the branches were and interacted with it, where I was then sent to hell and turned into a ghost. What I had to do now was find another ghost that would basically lead me back to my body, so that's what I did, and that was one more step done. Now, after I did this step, I took a break. I stopped recording for a bit, and when I came back, OBS decided it just didn't want to record any audio. I have no idea why, but yeah, for the final part of this video, there's just no game audio, which I do apologize for. The next step was yet again another stupidly long one. This one was a bit harder though. First, I had to go and blast a whole bunch of fire blazes with blue fire that I got from a trap. This part was easy enough, but it was just long, and my final zombie kept dying, so I did progress a few rounds, which was annoying. Once all of the fires had been lit, I collected a couple of gemstones, which I then had to take to 3 separate night statues around the map. Once I interacted with each statue, a gem would start following me. Once I had all 3 gems, I had to place them around the pack-a-punch. With these placed, they turned into ghostly knights. Each one of these knights acted as a soul box, so a round or 2 of blasting and they were done, and they left behind a stone slab. But you see, all this time when I've been doing these elaborate steps, upon completion, they were leaving behind these stone slabs, which are basically lockdown areas, so I had 3 of these to do. But this was also the final step before the boss fight. I started with the one at Pack-a-Punch. This was very easy for about 90 seconds as I just ran around and shot things. That was until a bunch of werewolves spawned and almost gave me a heart attack, but thanks to the Viper and Dragon, the best specialist, I was able to take them down fairly easily. The next lockdown took place in the graveyard. This one was a little more tricky as I had to deal with vampires, both regular and the juicers. Yet again, I ran around for about 90 seconds, just blasting things with the Annihilator, and then got assaulted by werewolves, but yet again, the Viper and Dragon were there to put them down. The last lockdown took place in the lab. Now this one was by far the most chaotic, as the lab isn't the most spacious place on the map, but I dealt with it. Once more, there was about 90 seconds of killing regular enemies before the werewolves came a-knocking, and once more, the Viper and Dragon put them down. With all 3 of these lockdowns done, I was now ready for the boss fight. I made my way to the door in the forest and opened it. From here, I was teleported to the boss arena and introduced to a very large and pissed off werewolf. This fight, I'm not gonna lie, was a bit mad. The fight itself is split into 3 sections. The first part was relatively straightforward. There's a green box that needs illuminating with these lights on the statues. Once it's all bright, trap the werewolf and shoot the crap out of him. This is pretty much what I did during this first section. There was also a lot of zombies and regular vampires to deal with, but my weapons and the homunculus, which I picked up just before the boss fight, dealt with the riffraff easily enough. It took about 4 or 5 damage phases with the Annihilator, but finally the first part was down and we moved to the second phase. The second phase was super easy as it was basically just attack of the normal werewolves, and you know what I did? Viper and Dragon. It killed them all with no problem, and within no time I was into the final phase. But you see, this is where we have a problem. Each phase gave you a free maxi and a carpenter, but you had to manually grab them. Because phase 2 went by so quickly, I forgot to pick them up, meaning I was going into phase 3 with less ammo and a very badly damaged shield, which in no time turned into a fully broken shield, and I had to do the entire final section without a shield. This phase was a repeat of phase 1. This time, however, the green box is invisible. I had to find all my own, and I had to deal with juiced up vampires, which were a lot more annoying to deal with this time around. This part took forever. I was sweating bullets. I'd spent too many hours slaving away at this Easter egg just to get to the end and die. So I soldiered on. We got through about 5 damage phases and the Annihilator is now completely out of ammo. I had to rip my maxi early into the phase, and all I had now was a swordfish to fend off zombies and defeat the boss. At this point I was panicking as I deadass thought I was about to fail due to no ammo. I was stressed. We keep fighting through the phases bit by bit, damage by damage. We're down to about 150 bullets in the swordfish and I am worried. We get the werewolf trapped again and go to town with the damage, and then out of nowhere the achievement pops up, and at that moment I realize we've only gone and done it. The werewolf is defeated, and so is this Easter egg. After 5 years and many stressed hours, I finally beat Dead of the Night. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to drop a like. Let me know what other zombie content you want to see from me, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.